Well, I said how we met you. I told a rough rundown of our romance.
Blind date.
The 2 weeks in Melbourne.
Yes.
The 2 weeks.
2 weeks in Melbourne.
And I didn't. You want to put in about how when Nanny said about how when I brought you back to the Flats house, she said, and Miss Saunders, she said.
She kept calling me Miss Saunders.
And then she said, "Are you a Roman Catholic, Miss
The first
Saunders?"
thing she asked me was, "Are you a Roman Catholic?"
But the second thing she asked was. Anyway, so that's the attitude. Everybody was that was terribly important
In those days.
days.
It was pretty. They seemed to be very important. But
Yeah.
So that was 1949. Now, how did the we talked about the film. How did the colour film of your wedding come about? It was a very early time for colour film.
49 years. Well,
Yes,
Interesting story.
that was the Grahams, wasn't it? That called you tell us. You talk about that, Shirley.
I'm just trying to think who took the coloured
That
movie.
was Roger's father.
Roger's married to my sister Elizabeth. See, and it was Roger's father that took the movie.
He had the movie.
He had the movie camera. He must have been able to get a coloured
Must
film.
have been one of the first coloured films that came out.
There weren't many coloured films before that. Coloured movies.
But he used to get things direct from England, didn't he?
Yes, they came out from England. He used to get a lot from England.
Of the latest things.
Well, yes. They were very keen on the movie films, weren't they?
They had a 16mm one, would it be then? It was on a 16. And it was taken off and put on this just a few years back, wasn't it?
Anyway, I just took it to the photographer and said, could they make a video of it? And they said, oh yes. Perhaps not. It's not as clear, perhaps. I suppose some of it, but it's pretty old.
So that was 1949. Your wedding was in New Zealand.
Our wedding was in New Zealand, October 49. Yes, but when we met was about 40.
18 months before, wasn't it? Beginning of 48.
Yeah.
And then did you honeymoon?
Yes, well then.
We did a tour of New Zealand, didn't we?
Then I went home to New Zealand after we met, and then you came over, didn't you? That's when we
Yeah,
were
that's right.
engaged. And then you came back, and
I came over, we got engaged in about February, just about 12 months after we'd met.
yes, and we got married in October.
Then
that
following
year.
October we married, yeah.
And we had half our honeymoon in New Zealand and half over here. We drove down from. Well, in those days there were only flying boats. We had to come over on the flying boat. Do you remember?
From Sydney.
We had to take the train from Wellington to Auckland. I always remember we got on the train and we had seats 13 and 14. And I said, oh, this is a bit funny getting 13. Anyway, that was all right. And then we got on the flying boat and we had seats 13 and 14 again, didn't we?
Anyway, we didn't sort of take exception to it really, did we? We
The
just
flying
decided they
boats-
were lucky numbers.
Yes, 13's been quite a lucky number. Anyway, the flying boats were very strange, and they were comfortable because you could walk all around everywhere. They're very, very spacious, weren't they? But very slow. Forgotten how
About
many
4
hours.
hours to get from
Oh,
Auckland.
more
to
than 4 hours. And they couldn't land or take off. Sometimes you had to circle around for hours because you couldn't land. Anyway, we did a few trips on the.
Came back after the wedding. Came back to Australia.
Then of course we decided we were going to live in Aunt Tib's house, Bill Weatherly's house. And of course I think that was a very, very slow program getting it organised, wasn't it, Shirley? And Shirley was over here.
We had to alter it a lot, yes.
Pardon?
We had to alter it a lot.
A lot of work put into it.
So we lived here, didn't we?
We lived here for about 6 months, didn't we?
When your mother was back here.
That was a bit, very tricky at times. Shirley was just, I had a terrible time handing Shirley and Mum. But anyway, I bought everything with market people and tried to keep the peace.
It was all rather an adventure to me because I'd never lived on a farm, and it was all quite exciting. We had horses and we used to have a few rides, didn't we? And I used to go out and help you a bit on the farm. And, I mean, not help, but
Didn't not hinder.
just go round with you.
No.
And,
So was it like a real outback for you to come here?
Oh yes, I always remember my first time I came out from Stool to Wallaloo. I thought I was going to Central Australia. It was just seemed so barren. There was only an old gravel road in those days from Stool to out here.
We always used to allow an hour to get to
To
Stool.
get to Stool. And I thought we'd never get here. And then the first summer here, when all the grass, you know how white the grass looks, all dry, and I just couldn't believe you couldn't see any green grass anywhere. And there weren't any lawns here much, were there? Because they didn't have any,
All hand mowers.
it was all hand mowers. So
Is that what?
I said to Alex's mother, why didn't they have any lawns? And she said, oh, we haven't got the water and we've only got hand mowers to mow them, which was true. So she had masses of trees, didn't she? Planted the whole of all out there with trees where we've got the lawn, and she had a huge round garden in front of the front door out there, huge bed full of roses. It was very nice, really.
No.
And all that green lawn there was all flower bed. Huge pepper trees out there, weren't there?
Peppers used to grow all over the house, didn't they, a bit?
And there was a fence along there to keep rabbits out and a gate up there.
The rabbits were a big problem in the old days, every day too. They seem to be so thick, but...
Those are the days that we've seen on TV where they just...
yes.
Millions of them.
Rabbits streaming around, yes.
Same here.
Yes.
And you had to have all the gardens fenced, or the rabbits just got in and ate everything, didn't they?
Then, of course, myxomatosis came in the early 50s, and that's what cleaned all the rabbits up. It just made such a difference.
Don't see many now.
No,
There are
they
no
never ever
rabbits
came back.
much now. There are a few hares, aren't there?
And,
But, no, we were 6 months living here, weren't we? And then we
We did
moved
there for-
over there.
then we lived over there from about 1951, was it, until 1970.
Oh, Jenny was born in 51, and we were still we weren't living. No, we'd moved over there, but she was baptised here in the room down that's our bedroom now, because Nanny Carter had broken her leg. She'd had a car accident and broken her.
That's when Lois was looking after her. Lois was specialing her.
She was looking after her, yes, that's right.
Lois, your New Zealand friend.
She was my New Zealand friend.
Yeah, up here. And in the meantime, you've been renovating Weatherly?
We've been renovating Weatherly, and it was finished before Jenny was born, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And we went on from there. John was born in about 52, wasn't he?
53.
53.
Jenny was born 51, he was born 53. And
Mum was very...
Nanny Carter had married couples here when we left, and she's various married couples living here.
Oh yes, there's a heap of them then at one stage. There were about 5 people employed here when Mum was here at one stage.
Yes, when I was first married, there seemed to be people everywhere. There was where we have the garage now was a little flat, and there was a married couple in that. And then Charlie was down. Did you ever meet Charlie? Charlie was down at the cottage at the gate.
Nobody was, yes. And then just before that, of course, there was a married couple. The woman used to do the cooking, and the man used to do the odd job around here, didn't he? Then there was a girl inside used to do the house.
Originally, Charlie's wife was the cook, wasn't she?
She was, yes.
She used to cook for all the people for about 10 shillings a week, didn't she, or something?
No, I
Ridiculous
forget the
amount.
wages, but it was just phenomenal number of people who were working.
And then Charlie married her, and they lived in that little house down Manu, there in the by the creek.
Mm.
And from nights, when did you say you moved in there?
About 51.
51. Until you moved back here?
Until we moved back here. Mum died in 1967, and then we arranged to have this place all altered. And took us about 3 years to get it all organised. And
We moved back here in 1970, didn't we?
71 was it?
70, because Susie was 10.
Who was 10?
Susie.
1970.
Oh, Susie. Yeah, Susie went over to be baptised in New Zealand at the same time as John's son John, wasn't it? They were all baptised together in 1961, weren't they? In New Zealand. And then John left school in 1972, didn't he? He went and did 12 months accountancy down in Ballarat, didn't he?
Yes,
I think that's what it was.
because he told John when he left school he didn't want to go farming.
Did he? He told you that?
Oh, I said, when you come back on the farm next year, I don't think I'll come back.
John was a bit startled, but he did say, oh, well, if you want to do something else, that's all right. So he arranged for him to go to Ballarat. After he'd done a year's accountancy, he decided he liked the farming and come back.
Then he and Don MacArthur went overseas in 75, didn't they?
And then, so like after John went overseas, then it was essentially the marriages happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
We've had a pretty lucky life, haven't we, really?
How can a city man ever understand what it takes to live on the land? When the rivers run high, all this dust in the sky, he just changes the channel to avoid their eyes. But you can't take the outback out of the country. You can't take the outback out of the country. Took his son by the hand and he walked him across this land. He said, son, I'm sorry, someday this will be memory. With their sleeves all rolled up, you won't ever see their cups held out